Thank you very much. Bismillah. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for being here on time. Before anything, before we start, I'd like to invite everyone here to stand and observe a minute's silence for the victims of the 21-month genocide in Gaza and the starvation mechanism that is in place today. Thank you very much. Please take your seats. My name is Anas Altikriti. I'm the chair of the Preparatory Committee of the Global Alliance for Palestine and your master of ceremonies for this conference today. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming, some of you from quite afar, I have to say. And I appreciate the fact that you've all been diligent in terms of the communication process of the course of the past few weeks. And many of you have been active participants in the setting up of this new project, which we'll discuss throughout today. I'd also like to welcome some of our guests who have joined through Zoom. Many of our comrades and colleagues and friends and brothers and sisters haven't been able to join us today because of essentially visa restrictions, as well as other logistical impediments. But I appreciate every single one of you either actively present here today or virtually with us over Zoom. I must thank the venue, One America Square, Cavendish venues, for this excellent facility. The venue features part, and you'll notice, part of the remains of the London Wall in the adjoining hall, and is next to iconic sites such as Tower Bridge and the Tower of London. So that's the promotional phase done, but this is truly iconic, by the way. Those of you who are history buffs would be interested to learn more about this. But today I believe that we're going to concern ourselves with another wall somewhere else and the fallout of occupation generally, but more of that later. I'd like to once again thank everyone for joining us and for taking the time to be part of these crucial discussions and for traveling from far and wide, many of you, most of you, all of you, on your own expense. And that's something that shows not only commitment, but also awareness of what is taking place in Palestine today and in Gaza specifically. I don't think that I need to say much about what's happening. I don't think I need to reel off the numbers of victims, the numbers of wounded and injured, the numbers of those homeless, the numbers of orphans, of people left to fend for themselves, including children of toddler ages. I don't think I need to mention the devastation and the percentages of what's been razed to the ground and what remains. I don't think I need to highlight the total erasure of entire sectors, in fact, entire bloodlines of dozens, if not hundreds, of families that once occupied Gaza. And I don't think I need to mention the fact that all of this happens whilst the world watches, whilst the world tut-tuts passively, announces certain symbolic gestures here or there, but in actual fact, the killing machine goes forth unhindered, unimpeded, with absolute total silence. And that's where we come in, and that's where you come in. That's where your solidarity movements who are represented here today come in. Because it is you who are changing the dynamics of what is happening. And today we will talk about how we can strengthen this, how we can consolidate this, how we can intensify this, how we can create a momentum around the world where we basically create that tipping point where things change, and things change for the better. This conference, my dear friends, comrades, brothers and sisters, this is the inaugural session of the Global Alliance for Palestine, which we'll come to discuss. This is the platform where we get to discuss how this is going to be built, what it's going to be looking like, who is going to take the part and the responsibility of building this alliance. So we're looking forward to that, but what's important to note is that this collection of activists, of representatives, of delegates are here to add as an aggregate. We are here as an addition to the unprecedented, remarkable, historic by every single means imaginable of the popular global movement that we've seen since October 2023 around the world. The movement that we've seen in North America, in Latin America, across Europe, in areas and countries where such movement was unimaginable less than 2 years ago, is now resounding, is now shifting dynamics, is now creating headlines. But that needs to come together, to consolidate, to synergize, to harmonize. The messaging needs to be on point so that essentially that tipping point can be reached. I'm eternally grateful to the world leaders, the icons of this global solidarity movement, many of whom are here with us today and will hear from, and many who couldn't make it. Some have sent video messages, some have sent written endorsements and messages of support. Many have said that they wish they could come, but for other engagements. But I'm thankful to each and every one of them for allowing and understanding the mission that is upon our shoulders, each and every one of us, wherever we may be today. Now, this conference has been convened whilst the thought process has been ongoing for about 8 to 9 months, but the actual logistical preparation has taken little over 5 weeks, which in today's terms, and believe you me, I know I've been in this business for decades, is nigh on impossible, but it's been made possible. And it's been made possible by your commitment and by your awareness of the urgency of this particular moment. This coalition aims to consolidate all the initiatives and projects that have emerged around the world over the course of the past 2 years. I note specifically, and we have, and we're going to hear from our dear friend, Reverend Frank Chikane from South Africa, the movement, the anti-apartheid movement for Palestine, which emerged last year in South Africa. I note the Palestinian Conference for Palestinians in the diaspora, an offshoot of which is the global coalition against occupation of Palestine. Again, we have representatives here today. We have Sari, and we have Saif Abu Kishk, and we have Ziad Al-Alul, and many others. We have the Hague Group and the Progressives International, who have convened several quite historic meetings, the latest of which was last weekend in Bogota, where a declaration was called and titled A Breakthrough. And truly, in terms of a political narrative, it does herald that weight of a title, A Breakthrough, addressing the siege, followed by the genocide, followed by the cutting off and starvation of Gaza and of Palestine in all its entities. All of those movements and more, and furthermore, we have friends coming from Malaysia today who will also speak of their own experiences. And from Africa, throughout Africa, all of those movements we aim here to add to work with, to harmonize, to synergize, so that our movements, our activism, our ideas, our thoughts, the impediments and the challenges that we face, the targeting of authorities to our activists, our young students being kicked out of their universities, employees being dismissed from their jobs, and the legal effort that needs to be exerted in order to defend those who stand up for Palestine and to call for a ceasefire, to call for the saving of young children yet then hauled before police and political authorities to be questioned for crimes, so-called, that they have committed. So that's what we aim to do, and it would be amiss of me not to afford great recognition and thanks to, firstly and foremost, the steering committee, chaired by our friend, our comrade, Jeremy Corbyn, the Right Honourable Jeremy Corbyn, who will be here imminently. He was in Birmingham, and in fact, on cue, he is Jeremy Corbyn. Thank you very much for arriving. He was in Birmingham, as many of you following the news would have realized. He's slightly distracted by something which we'll be undoubtedly talking about throughout today. So led by Jeremy Corbyn and with prominent members from around the world, including our dear friend and someone who has become an international spokesman for Palestine, Mustafa al-Barghouthi, who has traveled and arrived yesterday. And those of you who are aware of what it takes to travel from the West Bank to the UK will understand the kind of arduous trip that Mustafa had to endure. Also on the steering committee is our friend and a historic leader of peace, of democracy, of freedom and liberation, Jerry Adams, whom we'll be hearing from. Also a friend who is heading the secretariat of the Hague Group, Varsha Gandikutta Nelotla from India, who sends her best and who sends her apologies for not being able to make it. With us also on the steering committee, Yanis Varoufakis, whom you all know, whom we'll hear from, as well as our dear comrade and leader, Ronnie Casserols from Johannesburg, who also sends his best and we'll hear from through a video message a little bit later. So thanks and gratitude to each and every one of them. And also to the committee that I chaired over the course of the past few weeks, the PrEP committee, who basically drew the plans for this day today, who worked tirelessly and met several times, in record times, over the course of the past 5 weeks. To them, those of them present here today and those who couldn't make it but are with us either over Zoom or otherwise. Thank you to each and every one of you. Without you, this wouldn't have been possible at all. So thank you. And last but not least, the Executive Committee, whom you have been in touch with, they've been in touch with you, they've put together the pieces, the arrival times, the bios of everyone, the printing stuff that you have in front of you, the banners, negotiated with the venue, spoken to security, spoken for various media arrangements, and chaired by my lifelong friend and colleague and comrade, Dr. Abdullah Faliq. To them, each and every one of them, and to every single volunteer, to every single member of the security team, today, my thanks and gratitude. Thank you very much. And with that, I think we need to move to the proceedings of today. With every one of you is a file, is a dossier. Within it is a schedule for today. We're going to open with the first session very shortly. And after that, we'll have a short break followed by 3 consecutive discussion sessions. And I urge you all to take part as much as you could in those discussion sessions. In fact, even during the times of breaks and having coffee and the like, discuss amongst yourselves. Talk about the ideas that we're presenting to you, about what this alliance will look like, how it'll emerge, how we'll be able to start working as of tomorrow morning, and how we can create something that will alleviate the catastrophe that we are witnessing. And finally, we'll have a closing session where we will present a final statement. And that final statement is a work in progress. The Secretariat are observing every single word being said. They are taking minutes, and they will jot down every single idea or suggestion that will be presented. And that will impact the final format of the statement. So everything said today will go into the final statement. Hopefully, the cutoff point that we have assigned, now, again, this is your call, but we have suggested 4 p.m. to be the cutoff point where the statement will be finalized. So every single thing that will be said today, in the course of today, will be taken on board in the formation of the final statement that will emerge as the official document to the press later on. May I ask, thank you, may I ask our panelists, Jeremy Corbyn, Mustafa Barghouthi, and our international guests, Reverend Frank Ciccani and Deputy Angelo Bonelli, if you can please take your seats.